Hello, everybody. We're Group 24, the Code Monkeys. I'm Mauricio,
I'm Sam.
And I'm Cody.
and today we'll be showing you our program on the vessel traffic system. So first, we're going to run our program for everyone to see. And so on the right here, we have a table that shows 20 points for each of our 3 ships. And on the left, we have on the top is the program running of our ships moving to different locations on this map. Below these, we have our additional features. So we have a speed, position, and proximity alarm. And below those 3, we have 3 speed gauges. Next, we can set our maximum speed over ground. We have a feature where we can delete a row. Then we also have, we can filter by speed over ground. So if we put 12, it'll show every instance of a ship going at least 12 speed over ground, and then we have a delete column feature. There you go. Now we'll be showing you the code view of our program. So when we scroll down a bit, first we'll see around line 95 is that we had to import an Excel file onto our program. And on this Excel sheet, we imported our information to tables and displays into the respective columns. And then after that, we had to convert the values in our tables to arrays. And then we created our graph with the panel, and then we looped through the arrays. And so with each loop, this plotted each ship. And then to keep each ship within a certain limit, we had to create limits of our graph to a minimum and maximum latitude and longitude. Now we have our speed alarm feature where it will stay green unless it exceeds the maximum speed over ground. And once it exceeds that, it will turn red. We have one of our additional features that will, if a ship is within a latitude and longitude range, then the alarm will turn on. Another one of our features is there's a proximity alarm that once 2 ships are within 15 units of each other, it will be set to a different color. And below that is our code for our 3 gauges, one for each of our ships. Now we have our stop tracking button, which just closes the program. And we have our 2 different features right here, which is our delete row and column. And just below that one, we have our filter speed over ground code, which filters out our different speeds over ground on the table on the right.
Okay, so next we'll be showing off the ThingSpeak part of the project. So we have a ThingSpeak program, which basically lets the user input their own data for 3 different ships for all the data that we had on the core component. And they can actually even put in their own time interval that they want. So over here, we can see that ThingSpeak is currently empty, but it does have a channel for each ship. So we'll be demonstrating ship 1. Ship 2 and ship 3 already have data in. So as we said, ship 1 is empty, but once we hit send data, you can see that ThingSpeak starts to receive any of the data that the user inputted. So we'll quickly look at the code while that is being sent in. So here we can see that when we click the send data button, we basically turned each edit field into its own little array to become part of a table that just keeps all of the data together. And we had to make it so that we created a formula that would plot the latitude and longitude in between the start and stop, and just filled in all those corresponding points to each latitude and longitude. And then once we filled in all that data, we sent it as 1 into ThingSpeak, which has all of the data now. It has 20 points for each value, except the name, obviously, because that is not a number. And you can also do that for ship 2 and ship 3, as we've shown, which already have the data in because their time intervals are longer. So we also implemented a close program feature just to close the window. And then we had to do the same thing, filling in tables and arrays and sending it over to ThingSpeak for ships 2 and ship 3.
And here we have the reach component of the code. And we implemented a button which receives the data, and that uses ThingSpeak to work with the core component and generates data for 3 new ships. And for each of the ships, we plotted 20 different points. And here you can see on the map, which we use a larger scale, and the ships are moving at their according points. And under the map, we have our additional features. Similar to the core component, we implemented a speed, position, and proximity alarm. And under that, we have the 3 gauges which calculate the speed over ground for each of the ships. And under the speed alarms, we implemented more additional features such as the maximum SOG, which caps the SOG at a certain number which you can input in. And under that, we have delete rows, which deletes rows, as you can see. And then we also have a button where you can implement a minimum SOG, and that filters the SOGs for each of the ships. So as you can see, each of the ships' SOGs are over 13. And finally, we have a delete column button. And as you can see, it deletes the columns for each of the ships. And here we have the reach code for our vessel traffic system. So starting at line 223, we have our receive data button, which when you push it, it sends all the data from the table into the corresponding database, as well as plotting the ships. And then we concatenate all the ship data into one simple table, which you can scroll down and view all the 60 points. And now we move into the plotting part of the code, which we used the geoplot and geolimits. For the geoplot, we plotted each of the points of the ships, and using geolimits, we set boundaries for the ships. An additional part of that is using the geo-based map, which we can use to set the color of the maps. And here we start off with the additional features of the program. Similar to the core part, we have the speed alarm, which changes from green to red when any ship is equal or higher than the user's maximum speed. And after that, we have the additional feature of the position alarm. This records if a ship is within a certain quadrant, which turns the color of the alarm to magenta. And finally, we have the ship feature of a proximity alarm. If ships are within 30 units of each other, then the alarm turns from cyan to blue. And of course, we have the 3 gauges for the ships. Next, we have the delete row button along with the delete column button. And then finally, we have the filter SOG button.
And that's our program for the vessel traffic system. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope that you learned how to use it properly. And yeah, so thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.